Hi guys, welcome to our final chapter. This is chapter 16, and in this chapter we're going to be classifying triangles. And it's geometry, and I love geometry. It could be a lot of fun. It's a lot of memorization, so you're going to find yourself looking back for certain details and information. So that's perfectly fine. There's a ton of information out on the internet that you could use. We're going to be classifying triangles by their angles and by their sides. Okay, so you can give a triangle two names, okay, the angles and the sides, right? So let's first look at the types of angles, then we'll look at the types of sides, and then we'll put them together. All right, so you can have a triangle that has three angles that are less than 90 degrees. Let's say 60 degrees, let's say 60 degrees, and let's say 60 degrees. Sorry, that's a little fuzzy looking. Okay. And because all the angles are less than 90 degrees, we're going to be calling this an acute triangle. It's an acute triangle because all the angles are less than 90 degrees. Now, interesting fact, the sum of all three angles, when you add up all three angles in a triangle, will always equal 180 degrees. The sum of all the angles in a triangle will always equal 180 degrees. Cool fact to know. You do some practice on that if we were in person with you. You might see those questions pop up from time to time. Here's another type of triangle. You might see, okay, this one has a special little fancy box in there. Okay, now that box means only one thing. This is a 90-degree angle, which means this is a right triangle. Okay, now a right triangle has an angle that equals 90 degrees. Okay, it's got one. These two are going to be acute. They could be 45 because 45 plus 45 is 90 and 90 plus 90 is 180. So here are two types of triangles, naming them by their angles. Okay, I'd pause it, I'd copy it down, and I'm going to give you the next one. Okay, the last way to name a triangle based on its angles, we can have a triangle that looks like this. Okay, and it's got one angle that is large, okay, and it's got two angles that are acute. Okay, the large angle is called an obtuse angle. Okay, and this is an obtuse triangle because it has an angle that is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, an obtuse angle is greater. This could be 120. Okay, it has an obtuse angle. So this is an obtuse triangle because one angle is greater than 90 degrees. Okay, so you can have an acute triangle, you can have an obtuse triangle, you can have a right triangle. And then when you name them by their sides, it's a little bit different, a little more fancy. Okay, you can have a triangle that has two sides that are the same length, let's say 2 inches and 2 inches. Okay, we call that an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has two sides that are equal. You can have a triangle that has all three sides the same, let's say 3 inches. All right, and you can call that an equilateral triangle. That has all sides that are the same. So an isosceles has two sides equal. An equilateral has all sides equal. Okay, again, I'd pause, copy those two down because there's one more, and it's the ugly stepsister. And let me show you this one. This one here is a nasty triangle to draw, a funny looking triangle. I'll make it a little bit better than that. Okay, it has no sides that are the same. Let's say this is 4 inches. Let's say this is 10 inches. Let's say this is 8 inches. When you see no sides that are equal, we call that a scalene triangle. And that has no equal sides. Okay, scalene triangle. Right, so we can have really, every triangle is going to have two names. So now let's practice naming a few. So if I have a triangle that looks like this, let's say we got 4 inches and 4 inches, and then we have 60 degrees and 60 degrees and 60 degrees. Okay, well, I'm going to look at the angles. Oh, wow. All the angles are less than 90, so that means it's acute, right? This angle, and this angle are all less than 90. That means it's acute. Then I look at the sides. Well, I see that it's got the marks, and I know that two of them are the same. So that makes this an isosceles. So we have an acute isosceles triangle. All right. Let's try another one. Let's say we have a triangle that looks like this. Let's say I should make this look a little bit neater. Let's say we got no measurements given to you. I mean, I could tell you this is, 5, whatever. This is, let's say this is like 12. Let's say this is 11. No sides are the same, but there is an obtuse angle. So I can call it an obtuse scalene triangle. Again, no sides are the same. They're all different, but there is one obtuse angle. So the different sides make it scalene, and obviously the obtuse angle makes it obtuse. All right, let us try one more. We could try one more. This would infer that all of the sides are the same. Okay, we can also say, hey, these are also the same. Let's say this is 3 and 3 and 3, and this is 60 and 60 and 60. Well, this is an acute, because all the angles are less than 90. An acute equilateral, because all the sides are the same. An acute equilateral triangle. Okay, an acute equilateral triangle. You can actually call this an equiangular equilateral triangle because all of the angles are the same, but that's getting a little bit too fancy. And just because I thought we were going to do one, because we could do one more because it's kind of a cool one that pops up from time to time. So let's say that we have this guy. I'm just going to draw him a little bit nicer. Let's say we have this guy. Let's say this guy tells you that two sides are the same. Let's say these are both 7 inches. And this is 10 inches. But we also know that it has that. Because it has a box, that means this is 90 degrees. So we're going to call this a right. And we start to think, okay, well, what about the sides? Well, two of the sides are the same. So we can call this a right isosceles triangle. A right isosceles triangle. All right. So there's obviously, like I said, there's a lot of different ways we can classify these triangles. We're using angles and then sides. Some people write sides and angles. I like angles and then sides. There's a ton of information out there on this stuff. There are other videos that are probably a lot more colorful than mine that you might want to check out as well if you're unsure. I would encourage you to look at some things. You could even pull up a couple of pages on Google with some of this information as well. Maybe I'll even post one in there for you, so you don't have to keep looking at your notes. But basically the questions are going to ask you to refer back to the definitions. All right, so it's fairly simple. If you have any questions, just let us know.